preserve our independence, we must not let our rulers load us with perpetual debt. We must make our choice between economy and liberty or profusion and servitude. Wow. I place economy among the first and most important of Republican virtues, and public debt is the greatest of the dangers to be feared. It is incumbent on every generation to pay its own debts as it goes.
We must have a central bank to secure this country's finances.
If the American people ever allow private banks to control the issue of their money, first by inflation and then by deflation, the banks and corporations that will grow up around them will deprive the people of their property until their children will wake up homeless on the very continent their fathers conquered.
Jefferson, you're mad. This country will have a central bank.
What's up, guys? Jefferson was a fierce opponent to central banking and paving the way for Andrew Jackson that followed, but they understood. Governments, through their manipulation of fiat money, wield a formidable tool that can silently erode the hard-earned wealth of the populace. Through inflationary policies and unchecked printing of money, they slyly siphon away the purchasing power of individuals, cunningly disguising this covert theft as economic necessity.
Most economic analysts believe that it will have a temporary or transitory impact.
The faster than expected increase in some of those prices is actually a good sign.
The overwhelming consensus is going to pop up a little bit and then go back down. No one's talking about this great,
This is something that will settle down.
Transitory.
Transitory.
And the data shows that most of the price increases we've seen were expected and are expected to be temporary. There's nobody suggesting there's unchecked inflation on the way. It's highly unlikely that's going to be long-term inflation that's going to get out of hand. I don't know anybody who's worried about inflation.
Over the last couple of months, we actually saw it trended downward.
President Biden's chief of staff, Ron Klain, enthusiastically retweeted an economist who had said in part most of the economic problems we're facing, inflation, supply chains, etc., are high-class problems.
What is the Granholm plan to increase oil production in America?
Oh my God, that is hilarious.
Well, the number one thing that the president can do is help get COVID under control. That we know is the root cause of inflation.
President Biden this afternoon saying he thinks we're at the peak of the crisis right now and that lower prices are on the way.
The inflation has everything to do with the supply chain. Make no mistake, inflation is largely the fault of Putin. I'm going to do everything I can to minimize Putin's price hike here at home.
If you want to get rid of inflation, the only way to do it is to undo a lot of the Trump tax cuts.
I think ever since you've come into office, things are really looking up. You know, gas is up, rent is up, food is up.
This unscrupulous practice erodes trust, perpetuates inequality, and leaves the masses vulnerable to the whims of those in power. It is imperative that we recognize this insidious mechanism and strive for transparent and accountable monetary systems that safeguard the prosperity and autonomy of every citizen. The legendary Jeff Booth sat down with Kitco News at Bitcoin Conference 2023, and Booth made the case in mind-blowing Jeff Booth fashion on how Bitcoin solves the inflation paradox, something the world desperately needs right now. Let's get to it.
So over a long enough time horizon, prices always fall to the marginal cost of production. And that is, and you could ask that any economist what I just said, and they would say, yes, that's true. So tick, everybody knows that. We know, we can see it all around us, that we have exponentially increasing productivity. Artificial intelligence is coming, and if you think artificial intelligence is something today, if you wait a year or two or three, artificial intelligence is going to merge with machines, and it's going to bring productivity gains that we can't even imagine right now. And it's going, meaning that the prices will fall faster and faster and faster. And when I say fall, they should fall faster and faster and faster. And so, tick. So one, prices fall to the marginal cost of production. Two, that marginal cost of production is falling exponentially all around the world. And three, the only thing that could measure that is a system without manipulation, where the denominator can't move. So what's happening with Bitcoin's 21 million cap that's outside of the existing counterparty system, outside of the $400 trillion of debt that is unrepayable already, is it's repricing that entire debt stack whether it's through inflation or deflation, and it's just moving, and it's measuring all prices relative to Bitcoin coming down forever. It's measuring economic law. That's what's happening.
In a world plagued by inflation where fiat monies fluctuate at the whims of central banks or even gold's value can be influenced, Bitcoin emerges as the unwavering beacon of financial freedom. Bitcoin stands tall as the solution to a problem that no CBDC, no fiat currency, and no traditional store value can fully address.
And that's what's happening right now. There is an open monetary network that any person on the planet can move over to and essentially measure differently and not have to pay for $400 trillion of insolvent debt that's already insolvent, and not having their wages decline in real terms every year. And more people are moving over to it. And once they measure the world from that new system, they see truth, hope, abundance. But it's really complicated because most people are measuring Bitcoin price from the system that's manipulating. So they think Bitcoin price is going up and down, and they're saying Bitcoin price is going up. It's the opposite.
Bitcoin embodies the principles of scarcity, trustlessness, and transparency, offering a respite from the devaluation of wealth that plagues our economies. It is a currency that cannot be manipulated by governments. It's shielded from the clutches of corrupt institutions that silently erode the purchasing power of hardworking individuals. It provides a sanctuary from the uncontrolled printing of money that steals prosperity from the people, and it has throughout time, all the way back to the Roman Empire, all the way back to the yacht people and the rhinestones.
You have a monetary system that is 10,000 times bigger than Bitcoin today, and that relies on theft. And that theft, if you just looked at a mere reflection of the world, if you had theft in essentially if the emergent complex behavior of society was built on theft, then who would win and who would lose? Probably the biggest cheaters would win, and the best people at deceiving you would win, and the people that were speaking truth would lose. But that system is so prevalent in everything we do when we're measuring the system from that system, and we keep electing those same people to do it more and more and more, thinking there's a solve from the system. And so you'd have to expect that Bitcoin would have to withstand everything. If a system was that much more powerful, would try everything in its power to break Bitcoin. And every year, Bitcoin gets more decentralized and secure. And more, every single year, more decentralized and secure as it spreads out around the world, as more people move over to it. And it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger. It is literally impossible to break. So even if you could imagine, every nation around the world said, we're going to close all on-ramps to Bitcoin. Okay, what would happen? Mining would still take place because you're chasing energy and you're going to pay. And a black market would emerge, just like black markets emerge everywhere else. And you'd have an underground economy that would be exploding. Bitcoin would probably grow faster. A peer-to-peer market would explode until other governments said, we need this market. Because it's a more efficient network. And what we have to remember is all monopolies do the same thing. Monopoly favors the people closest to the monopoly. So the monopoly today of money favors the people that are the wealthiest. All of the media that you read is all favored by the money monopoly today. And so most of the stuff you read that is favored by the monopoly money would do everything possible to dismiss this new network. But it's unstoppable. It is literally unstoppable and so I've done a lot of work trying to disprove what I'm saying, trying to what would happen. And I've assigned my probabilities. I used to have a probability of maybe 5% that Bitcoin would break, something would break it. And as I've done all this work, I've realized it's probably a 0.1% probability that it could be broken. And I can't even imagine what that would look like. I've done all sorts of scenarios. And so as I've realized that, this is the system based on truth, and I'm going to just shift all of my time into building to the emergent system that's based on truth. And as I spent more of my time there, you see there's Bitcoiners everywhere in the world, and within organizations that you would think there's no Bitcoiners, they're the most brilliant people inside these organizations. Some of them say it publicly because they can't say it publicly. But this is growing at a rate it's literally unstoppable.
The world's not standing on steady ground, we could say right now, and in the face of economic uncertainty, Bitcoin empowers individuals to reclaim control over their financial destinies. It transcends borders, enabling seamless global transactions, and bypasses intermediaries, eradicating unnecessary fees and delays. No more middlemen. Bitcoin offers a level of protection unparalleled in the traditional financial systems. Bitcoin is not just a cryptocurrency or just a money. It is a symbol of a movement that advocates for financial sovereignty, privacy, and inclusivity. It embodies the spirit of innovation and the unwavering belief that the power to shape one's financial future should rest firmly in the hands of the individual. With Bitcoin, we have the opportunity to reshape the very foundations of our corrupted and perverse monetary systems, forging a path towards a more equitable and decentralized future. Bitcoin is a rallying cry for those who dare to challenge the status quo, for those who refuse to accept a system that enriches the few at the expense of the many. Why are we forced to use a money that steals from us? Why is my future being stolen? Why is yours? Let us embrace Bitcoin, not just as a technological marvel, but as a transformative force that can liberate us from the shackles of inflation, ushering in a new era of financial empowerment and individual liberty.
The existing system is going to get a lot noisier because it's at risk of something that offers better results to the planet. There will be a fight against that system. And if Bitcoin could be stopped, then it would have already been stopped.